Today I'm going to talk about Arab Revolution, how Arab Revolution got into civil war, especially taking the case study of Libya. Before beginning the concept of Arab Revolution, I tried to highlight what the small incident was there that actually triggered the Arab Revolution within the region of North Africa and West Asia. It was an incident where Sidi Bouazizi self-immolated himself in the street of Tunisia, and this incident actually triggered throughout the region, especially in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya and other parts of West Asian region. When we look into the major aspect, the consequences of Arab reasons, it was the most prominent one were the political repression, the authoritarian regime, the economic deprivation, the lack of accountability, the huge corruptions which was there. It actually forced the people of this nation to come on the street and fight against the dictatorial regime. And one of the medium which became very prominent, that was the transnational media, social media such as Twitter, WhatsApp or Facebook. They actually broadcast the live protest which was going on the street and making people to come out, or encouraging people or motivating people to come out and speak against the authoritarian regime. Similarly, this actually reached to the Libyan nation as well, to the Libyan country, how the politics of the Libyan changed with the Arab Revolution and how it got converted into the civil war which is happening right now in the region. So before going to that description, we need to understand the demographic understanding of this country, Libya. What exactly the demography of Libya is. It's basically divided into three different regions. One is Cyrenaica, other is Tripolitania, and the third is Fezzan. Cyrenaica in the east, Tripolitania in the west, and Fezzan in the south of this region. So basically the revolution which started in Libya was on February 2011. It started with a day of rage to overthrow Gaddafi, a dictatorial leader who has been there since 1969, and it was to understand how this dictatorship will fall. If you try to understand the Libyan politics, it is mostly for the political grievances that the Libyan society was facing than the economic grievances. So in order to understand this, it is very important to understand the tribal politics of Gaddafi, because tribal politics is something which actually give him affiliation to sustain his power for more than 40 years in power. So and before that also, when King Idris, when Gaddafi took the power in 1969, King Idris also took his power, which was based in Cyrenaica. So taking his affiliations from the tribal identity, and eventually Gaddafi is taking this going on the same path, taking his affiliation from the tribal identities which is based in the region of Gaddafi on Sirte, which is based in Tripolitania. So they basically take all the kind of their affiliations from their tribal identity, and how this identity of politics, how this tribal identity of politics reflected in the post-Arab uprising. We need to understand this deep conscious understanding of tribal politics was there during the time of King Idris, it was there during the time of Gaddafi, and it sustained very strongly even after the Arab Revolution. So basically in the post-Arab uprising, this tribal affiliation and the consciousness created instability, it created chaos, it created a power hunger politics without any centralized authority. So and even after the post uprising, it also led to the politicization of political mobilization and military organization of the tribal ties. So we need to understand the demographic region, which was three Tripolitania, Fezzan and Cyrenaica. It get fragmented into 140 tribes in Libya, which further fragmented into different militias, which is now around 1700 somewhere. And these militias was based on their political ideologies, they were based on their legitimacy, they were based on their own interests, they were based on their own power. So the fragmentation at every level, from region to tribes to militias, has actually resulted the civil war which the country has been facing right now. If we go back to the beginning of Arab Revolution, the National Transitional Council was formed. It was formed in Cyrenaica, which consists of all the elites and educated bureaucratic leaders they actually came to the they actually form a council with the understanding that they would form a state with the basic democratic values, the values of freedom of expression, the values for representation, the value for creating a political parties, the creating a space for a civil society. But the shift in their approach, this was a theoretical formulations, they formed the council, but the shift in their approach, they try to centralize the authority for all over the region, which they try to negotiate with the foreign authorities. They try to distribute the resources according to their own will. As the Cyrenaican, as being the based in Cyrenaica, it also created a sense of distrust for people of other region as well. So basically, when it became difficult for National Transition Council as well to gain legitimacy from the tribal of the regions of the region for like Tripolitania and Fezzan. And they feel like how to gain this create a sense of anxiety among the NTC people, how to control the authority. One of the problem was that if they control the authority, if they are again forming a central authoritarian rule, for which most of the Libyan society was not in the favor of, because they felt like Gaddafi, they are replacing the same system which Gaddafi was following at that time. So after that, there was a shift earlier in the beginning of this revolution. There was the main center was in Benghazi, but by the fall of Gaddafi, it shifted to Tripoli. And in this, the tussle between the National Transitional Councils and the local militias, which was based in Tripolitania and Fezzan, started getting more heated or more fueled because of that. So this eventually led to the parallel government, the division of two parallel government in the region. One defined as Libyan dignity, the other defined as a Libyan dawn. The one which is based in Tripolitania was Libyan dawn, and the one which was based in Cyrenaica was Libyan dignity. And this they not only politicized the militias, but they militarized the politics. So thus, if we try to understand this region, this politics become multidimensional and in multi-layered in the area. One of the most important factors which I figured out, like what is that actually deepened this tribal factionalism throughout the period till date. First of all was insecurity of security. Though we all know that Libya has a very porous border. It is situated on the Mediterranean, and on the north it shares the border with Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia and Sudan, and the influx of arms and ammunition. Though Gaddafi does not have a very strong military, he just have a loyalist military which can sustain him to remain his power. So after the revolution, basically people started, the civilians started taking up the arms and started fighting against the Gaddafi regime. So they were trained, they were militarily trained and they were armed. Eventually, after the overthrow of Gaddafi, what exactly happened to this armed militias? Whether they went back to the civilians, being a civilian, or they still remain in the military was the big question. They disarmed themselves. How they will be disarmed, and what is the condition? So this is one of the important event that time. People does not want to disarm themselves because of the continuous insecurity from other tribal groups to sustain power or to gain more authority. They felt like this is for the first time they have been given a voice to voice about their own tribal representations, and they can gain power to control, which also make them reluctant to desecuritize themselves or to disarm themselves. And this kind of mentality actually became very difficult and caused a huge security issue in the country. And one of the things throughout this revolution was there was no clear commander or no central commander to control that this is how we are going to take and this is how the state should be, and this is the forward taking procedure. Second important factors which fueled the tribal factionalism was the division between the revolutionaries and the regime cronies or the regime supporters. Revolutionaries were the one who were fighting against Gaddafi's regime. They wanted to overthrow this regime at any cost. Similarly, they were regime cronies. Cronies, they were branded by the revolutionaries, someone who was supporting Gaddafi at the time of revolution. They were seen as someone as a traitor, someone who has betrayed their country, someone who should not be the part of country. But the problem is, like, there was one of the tribe called Benevilit. They actually fought against Gaddafi in 1996 somewhere, and they were suppressed brutally by Gaddafi, killing most of the opposition there. And during this Arab Revolution, they did not participate in it. So they were tagged as a cronies. So the difference, the kind of tag they were given, the kind of treatment they were given, which was very much divisive in nature. Gaddafi belonged to Gaddafar tribes, which is based in Sirte. The people of Sirte was seen as someone who has betrayed the whole country, who has bring the country down to the shatters. So they were treated as someone who has been, one of the very black hole for the country. The third is the political and social factors. Every affiliation has been taken from the tribes. There is no proper, even if there is a judicial system going on, it is based on the tribal system. How the tribes should, how the tribes should be based, what kind of rules they have. It is very important to understand that. So all the kind of affiliations was from the tribes and the tribal leaders and tribal laws, which was very problematic when we try to adopt a democratic structure in Libya. Again, the question is, what kind of democratic structure we are talking about? Whether it's a Western style of democratic structure or this democratic structure which is compatible with this Libyan society. The kind of democratic structure which NTC proposed was mostly Western in nature, which does not set a compatibility with the Libyan society per se, and Libyan society who does not even have any grave or any feeling how the culture, how the democracy should function, what kind of culture should be there, how they could form a constitutions, how they could draft a constitution. This actually undermined the state representation. This actually undermined the building of state in Libya. Though there was a symbolic election in 2012 in which the seats were divided in 60-40 ratio for Cyrenaica and Tripolitania, ignoring the fact that Fezzan was also there. The problem with, it's not a problem, the thing, Fezzan, mostly of the Berber population was based in there. So it was completely ignored by the other two regions. The unequal representation, this representation was basically based on the population representation, but they felt that it is an unequal representation and it will create the supremacy of one person over the other. The third factor was the economic factor. One of the most important factor for tribal factionalism and the current politics happening in Libya is because of its economic factor, that is oil. Libya serves as one of the best crude oil in the world, and it's the second. It's also the largest reservoir present and unexplored reservoir present in Libya. So most of the politics has been rounded on the oil production and exploration. So I call it. It serves as a curse as well as a blessing. Blessing, because it helps in the economic infrastructure. It helps in all the kind of development, not only for the Libyan nations but also for the neighboring state. It was cursed because the exploration, the production was unevenly distributed to all the region, and warlords or the militias, they actually took control of those oil fields because there was no centralized authority or power which can control those oil fields. So these warlords actually took control of the oil fields and they tried to use these fields in order to fulfill their demands. Even the international actors play a very important role, especially in the economic aspect of Libyan condition, like the role of NATO. Even especially that even in the initial stage, NATO was very active in supporting the revolutionaries to overthrow Gaddafi, unlike the support they provided to other countries which was affected by Arab Revolution. And it's the role of Arab League. They adopted no-fly zone in Libya against Gaddafi. One of the important aspects, that is like UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Saudi, they play a very important role like other countries in Libyan politics. Like, as I have already detailed you, like the like the Libyan politics was divided into two major parallels. That one was the Libyan Dignity and the other was Libyan Dawn, which eventually resulted in two different administrations, that is Libyan administration and Tobruk administration. Libyan administration, which was the compilation of all the militia groups from the Tripolitania region, while the Tobruk administration has all the militia groups from the Cyrenaica region. So these eventually led to two parallel governments which was functioning in Libya during 2014. By 2015, United Nations decided to adopt a ceasefire between two administrations and decided to form a national accord, which eventually led to the formation of the government of national accord, which combining both the administration and ruling the country. But by 2019, this was not accepted by the Tobruk administrations, which was majorly controlled by the leader called Khalifa Haftar. Khalifa Haftar was the one who was with the aim of coming to the centralized power, but he was against the role of the Islamist or the role of brotherhood in the major or in the central politics of Libya. So this kind of reluctancy to form a general national accord has actually created a sense of distrust, a sense of divide in the Libyan society, which is actually happening in the contemporary sense also. Even in 2017, he increased his oil production in order to gain more revenues out of that oil production, so that he can arm his military, he can strengthen his military and seize the power. And last year in 2019, he started an attempt to seize the control over the other part of the regions, which is actually controlled by General National Accord, which is recognized by the United Nations right now. So the important factors is the different countries, the different external factors like Turkey, like Qatar. They are supporting Libyan Tripoli administrations in maintaining the stability, though they have their own interest like oil and other things. But despite of the fact, they are participating and giving all kind of military support to the Tripoli administration in order to maintain the stability. On the other hand, countries like Egypt, who recently announced that they will start a military intervention in Libya if there isn't any stability because of the border security issues, and UAE, who has been hugely supporting Khalifa Haftar, and Saudi Arabia, they have been actively supporting this Khalifa Haftar in order to gain for their own interest. Their interest could be oil based, their interest could be the development of infrastructure, of the investment, because these countries need a revenue out of it. So the main index is the economic interest in actively participating in the Libyan politics. In the recent scenario, like in a very recent scenario, if you try to see that Libya is in the 10th year of its Arab Revolution. The Arab Revolution, which was basically started to establish a democratic structure, is now fighting within themselves, that who will gain the power, what kind of power they want, what kind of democratic structure they want. And people, the common people, the common civilian, are actually tired of this kind of disruption, this kind of parallel administrations, because of the large loss of life, because there is a continuous battle between the two groups going on. There is a continual battle for seizing one's territory over the other, just to gain a central authority or just to gain the power. There is a huge water shortage, there is a huge petrol shortage, there is a huge electricity shortage. So these are the problems which the Libyan society is facing right now and need to be tackled. If in the coming futures, if it is not tackled, if this continues, if this kind of civil war, if this kind of tackle between the two administrations sustain, it will create a huge problem. The problem which the region has already been facing, that is a problem of refugees. The more refugees, there is a huge refugee outcome from Yemen, there is a huge refugees from Syria and other part of the region. There is a huge migrants coming out of from Libya as well, crossing the borders to Europe. If these problems sustain in Libya, if Libya is not stabilized in the coming days or coming years, it will result in large number of refugees, which will create an extra burden to not only to the African countries or to the North African or West Asian countries, but also to the European nations, because they share a Mediterranean border, and it's create a lot of problem in the coming future. So one need to tackle with the problem of civil war and try to understand that what exactly is the way to negotiate and bring this two government into a unified form.